Should be starting up here in just a second. Yay. I think we're visible. We're live now, so this is good. I'm going to wait just a few seconds, kind of let everything smooth out, finish letting people join us, but then we'll get started. But for those of you that are here already, thanks for joining. We'll give it about maybe 15, 20 seconds, something like that, and then we'll get started. It's good to see you again, buddy.
Again.
This is the last of our Masterclass, right?
Yeah. Of this series.
Yeah. Episode number 5, like Star Wars. Bah, bah.
What's going to be next?
So. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jacob Davis. I'd like to welcome everybody here to our Masterclass series for Dynamics 365 testing. This, as I just mentioned, is episode number 5. And this will be the final one of this series, but of course, I'm quite sure we're going to do a lot more. Yeah,
I think we'll meet again.
Yeah. So. Anyways, this is a really interesting topic for us today. One of my favorite topics to address, actually, the many projects over the years on this. This one we're calling Dynamics Under Pressure, Optimize Your Dynamics 365 Performance. And as mentioned, I'm your host, Jake Davis, and I'm joined today again by Marek Domagawa. He's a senior test engineer and overall just test automation expert, and we've worked together for about 5-6 years now. So it's always good to be with you, buddy. Yeah, and I've also got with us today Arkadiusz Bartnik. We'll call him Arek, and he's a system administrator, and he's got something really, really nice to share with everybody today, our performance monitoring application, which goes hand in hand with our performance testing that we do here at X Plus. Yeah, and so he's going to show us that, and that's where we'll start, actually. So Arek, I'll go ahead and upload your presentation here, get that added to the stage, and I think everybody can see it on the screen now. And with that said, I'll turn it over to you, and you can you share with us what this application does, how it can be helpful, and share some knowledge with us.
Hi, thanks for introduction. I would like to introduce our new product, performance monitoring for D365. This is a set of performance and other metrics collected in real time from the D365 environment, logged to log analytics, and then presented to charts or tables using Azure Dashboard. This solution can be used as complement to performance testing with executive automats, providing information about system load and areas that require optimization, but it can also function as standalone tool for continuous monitoring of our environments, including sandbox and production environments, then providing rapid issue detection and immediate notification about the problems. Standard dashboard functionality allows us to visualize data from the past hours or days, selecting specific time range, let's say during performance test or when a user reports an issue. We can also filter data by server tables or queries. All our metrics then are narrowed down according to the defined criteria. What kind of data we can retrieve from the environment? In addition to standard metrics available in LCS, such as CPU load, memory usage, our solution provides access to the number of sessions on each server, ongoing query logs, the number of SQL transactions per second, IO statistics, query store data, data grow in individual tables, and many other metrics. If the default metrics are not satisfied, we can define custom metrics. It's done by configuring a script on a script form, specify the execution frequency, all this without the need to update application code, just like we have direct access to the SQL server. Such script can retrieve performance-related data from the SQL, but also business metrics. For example, the number of processed sales order, or let's say status of integration with the external systems. We can also define alert for any metric, which will notify us automatically in case of slowdowns or problems with key processes. what problems does we can solve. This tool is not exactly intended to solve any problems, but this tool allows us to quick and easy detection of the problem and simplify the resolution. We can detect peak load times resulting in reduced responsiveness, long-running queries, user logs, and many other performance issues because we can define our own scripts. Who is this tool for? Primarily, system administrator will benefit the most. However, thanks to full customization of dashboard, it's possible to present data in a format that will be understood for everyone, like you see now here. That's all for me. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Arek.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can say from personal experience, having seen this application in action, very, very useful. And as you said, maybe it's not something that's going to solve problems for you, but it's going to point out where problems are. And really, it gives you just such an increased view of your overall system performance that it's extremely valuable information to have, right? So thanks for that. And, you can reach out to us anytime and talk more about that. Probably be able to hop on a call with Arek himself, and he can actually walk through a demo and so forth. So really appreciate your time today, Arek. And I guess we'll hear from you at some other point. Probably not today, but I'm sure that we'll be talking with a lot of clients together about this. So thank you.
Thank you, Arek.
All right.
Yeah,
so let's
that was cool, yeah.
And you've seen this in action too, man. It's a really cool application. And it's different than what we're going to talk about when we're talking about performance testing. That's an application that Arek just showed us that can be used in collaboration with it, or it doesn't even have to be for performance testing, but just to give you an overall idea of how your system is performing.
That can support the performance test.
Exactly. So,
a lot, I would say.
Yeah, so let's hop right into it. So today, obviously, we've already done the introduction, but we'll go through some slides here, and Marek is going to do most of the talking and share his experience with us. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of performance testing, and slightly different than performance testing, or maybe a subset of it, load testing in D365. From there, we'll move on to actually conducting the performance or load tests in Dynamics using our application, Executive Automats, which is what we use, and it's #1 in the world. So, fantastic application to be using. And we'll save some time at the end as well for a Q&A session. So you can ask us any questions throughout the entirety. Just drop them in the comments, and at the end of it, end of this, when we get to the Q&A, we'll address those questions.
All
and
right.
of course, give you contact information so you can reach out to us at any time. So perfect. All right, Marek. Let's hop into this. This is really interesting for me. In our series of webinars, we've covered a range of topics. We've gone from bug finding and the types of tests that you want to work with.
Testing as well.
Exactly. And maybe a routine that you can establish to get these going. And now we're looking into performance testing. And so could you tell us a little bit about why are we even thinking about performance tests, and why are they so important?
Well, basically, what is performance testing and why we do it? That's a good question. So performance testing, some of you might know, but not everyone, obviously. It's a type of software testing that evaluates how system behaves under various conditions. So we want to check if how system behaves, focusing on its speed, stability, scalability, and responsiveness. How it reacts. So the main goal is to ensure that application perform just all right, well, under the pressure, under the expected some workloads and many sessions, So performance sessions, I'll give some examples what it can answer on some questions like so how fast, for example, application respond, but I mentioned, how many sessions it can handle, might be depends from the organizations and what we need, but it can handle 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 sessions, That's quite important, and we can pretty much aim on that. how the performance of the system is consistent over time.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we're gonna put some more workload over time, we can check how it still behaves, how it reacts. Is it slowing down or it still remains on the same condition? And what can first break under the pressure as well? This is especially when we're conducting load testing, but we're gonna come to that later a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So but
I think these are all very important and valid points. So maybe talk. That's the questions that it answers. How? Like what can those be used for? How is it done, etc. I think you're going to talk a little bit more about that. So it answers those questions. Why are those questions important to be answered?
So they answer those questions. Those answers actually. So how this can be actually that's answered. How can improve the system later on? So what we can do with that indicators basically. So we can actually prevent that slow performance in the future. Crashes or outages in production, for example.
Of course, that leads to avoiding any lost revenue.
That definitely for the business. So it helps to avoid lost revenue or some reputational things, damage due to poor performance. And obviously, when it comes to the users, we can improve the user experience overall. So even under some sort of peak loads. As well, and supports proactive optimization before actually we can take that steps actually before user will complain actually.
So hey, happy users, man, that's much better than having somebody complain to you and then you have to fix it later. So very nice. What you talked about from our experience, we've often done performance tests, and they're divided into like different types. And we've already mentioned performance testing and load testing. So maybe talk a little bit about the different.
Well, so when we were talking overall, like previously on previous webinars, even the types of testings, but we mentioned like performance testing, but performance testing is quite broad term. I would call. So in actually performance testing, there are like many other divided. I would say. I don't know, different type of testing in actually performance testing.
Maybe like subsets,
so it's divided into special groups depending on actually these circumstances. What I mean by that, it's like depends like what we want to test through the performance testing. But for example, might be load testing, volume testing, spike testing, and there's like few other ones, but we mostly focus on broad term performance testing and load testing, I would say, on this webinar. And this is all included in base name of the performance testing.
Right.
So also that's pretty much.
So what's the difference between performance testing is the broad term? Maybe narrow down what is specifically load testing.
So load testing, basically, it's a form, now I can call it form of performance testing. This is like subset of performance testing that checks how the system performs under specific expected load. So, expected and maybe unexpected in some point, because we're gonna increase the load over time. So we will start from, let's say, 100 sessions, then we're gonna increase that 100 sessions each iteration, so will be 200 sessions, 300 sessions. So depends which workflow we expect from our organization. Let's say we have 500 users. But with load testing, let's say let's test it over that. What's gonna happen if we expect like higher peak, so 600, 700, and we can check what's gonna happen, how the system behaves. So load testing basically is combined or even mistaken with the stress test. So sometimes, it's very similar. I would say at this point.
Okay.
But what the essence is that we increase the number of the sessions over time. In load testing. And I like as performance testing, like very broad term. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I think this, of course, sounds pretty obvious. Another point I'd like to make too is when it comes to performance testing and testing what your system actually can handle, the different loads that it can handle, and so forth, Microsoft highly encourages you before any go live to do performance testing. Yeah, and that's on you, the customer, to do that performance testing to make sure that the system specs are set up appropriately. And so it's incredibly important, because if you get it wrong at first and it turns out after you go live that you need more power for your system, that's a little bit more expensive to get that put in at that time. Yeah. And so save yourself some trouble, and before you go live, do your performance testing so you know that you're set up from day one, ready to go. Yeah. So just wanted to add that in there. So these are overall what performance testing is, a good description of it. How do we prepare as a client, as a customer of Dynamics, to do performance testing? So what needs to be in place? What does the customer have to have prepared? Yeah.
So let's focus like how we're supposed to prepare our environment first, maybe. Yeah. So so actually the first point will be that we need to choose the right environment, which will mirror the production environment closely as possible. Yeah.
Yes.
So what I mean by that, the environment should have pretty much same configurations, same data set. Yeah, would be nice to have. Yeah, obviously sometimes it's not really possible, but as close as possible. Yeah, just to really simulate that movement like it's supposed to be on a production environment.
Yeah.
Obviously we need to create all these accounts, which will be simulate the users. For example, if we want to dependable for how many sessions we want to prepare our environment, we need to create those users, and specifically with that design roles as well. That would be great. Yeah, sometimes just to avoid maybe admin role all the time. Yeah. Well, obviously this is quicker. Yeah, but if you could follow some pattern, just to create some roles, just to test that that key processes actually, or most frequent processes.
Yeah.
So we need to have somebody in organizations who will indicate those processes which are most valuable for organization. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Of course, you've got to have your plan in place. Yeah, so you need to know what you're testing, right?
So together with the test data, so this is like we told on the previous webinars. Yeah, that probably some SME person, some subject material expert, which got the knowledge of what's the most frequent processes in the organization. What else? It would be nice to actually to think about tool not only to automate that tests, that just to create scripts from the scenarios, but to have some extra tool application which will be monitoring what's happening with the hardware during the performance test. So perfect combination with executive automates would be performance monitoring, which was presented on the beginning of webinar.
Exactly. Yeah. And now it doesn't have to be that. There are other tools out there, but we use this performance monitoring tool, and it's fantastic.
It does the job.
Yeah. Very nice. So you've got the tool, you've got the account set up. You know what processes you're going to be using and testing. These are all great things. But tell me a little bit about the tool, the application that we're using, Executive Automats, which, of course, X Plus has created and been using since, 2012, even all the way back to the AX 2012 version of the tool of Dynamics. So specifically, for anybody watching who are using Executive Automats already, what do they need to know? What are some good tips for them to know when they're doing performance testing?
So let's say we're starting our project with Executive Automats with performance testing. So what we need to think about first, let's think. So we need to know basically what kind of performance testing we need to do. Let's say in this case will be load testing, as we mentioned previously, and And we need to know pretty much how many sessions we're going to conduct, because we need to gather that enough number of users, because we have functionality in Executive Automate which will be mapping those users by virtual users. So we got, let's say, credential of the users there. We can authenticate that. Even we can authenticate them automatically. So let's say we're expecting to have like 100 users. You're gonna log in each user manually. No, that's big waste of time. So we need to have that also that users included in Executive Automate. So we need to have like pretty much. So let's say, okay, there is a recommendation that one user supposed to handle up to 10 sessions in parallel.
So one virtual user can execute 10 processes simultaneously.
So let's say 10 users can handle around 100. Obviously, I would recommend a bit just a
little lower,
like maybe 8. That's safe point. But okay, let's say 10. So if we need to have like 500 sessions, we need to have at least 50 users.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be nice to have them automatically
authenticated.
Authenticated, like I said.
Logged in already.
So obviously we need to check our license with Executive Automates, because we need to know how many QA people going to work on the project. So and there is some limitations with the sessions in the EA when it comes to the license as well. So basic license can handle just one active EA users and can have 10 parallel sessions. It's not much. It's
so
not
basically
enough.
One real person using one virtual user that can do 10 sessions, 10 processes simultaneously.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Regular got 3 users and 50 sessions. It's a bit too small. I mean, they are smaller organizations, but I would go for enterprise, basically, because you don't have any limits.
Exactly.
Basically, with the users which operating Executive Automates, and there's no limits on the sessions.
So you can scale up to the enterprise license and
Coming back to actually a bit previous topic regarding Dynamics, we forgot about one very important thing. So we need to prepare our Dynamics environment also with proper tier. So like tier number 1, which is designed for development. It's not really for UAT testing or something. Not even mentioning performance testing yet. But tier 2 and 3 is like, tier 2 is standard UAT and tier 3 is premium UAT. So that means we're going to have like, in tier 3, we're going to have like, okay, up to 40, 70 users possible. So it might be not enough. Still. So we usually recommend to have at least tier 4, which is standard performance, and it can handle up to 150 users. And and much more transactions as well.
So in that case, if you're using EA and you've got a, let's say, tier 4 environment, and you want to simulate 150 users doing the same processes at the same moment, then you would need 15 virtual users in Executive Automates to handle that 150 session, to simulate it. About right.
That's true. Just to keep that sessions.
And then so tier 5, of course, it's more than 150 users.
That's a lot. This is like 4.
So you'll want, at least for performance testing, tier 4 or tier 5 environment in most cases. Of course, there are those companies out there who are using Dynamics 365 that are smaller and would never need, to simulate 500 users. They would, maybe 40 is enough for them. But in general, tier 4, tier 5 for that. So let's talk a little bit more and continue on. Tell me about scoping.
So like I said, actually, when it comes to the previous like Dynamics environment, but in this case, we need to have indicated which processes, because we need to create from that scenarios scripts in Executive Automate.
Exactly.
So we need to have identified that processes, that critical processes and most frequently used ones. And we need to make sure that those scripts are not too much complicated. I mean, like to not insert too many validations or some difficult logics, just to prevent maybe some unexpected fails.
Yeah, the idea here is not to test whether the process is correct or not. We're trying to put some load on the system. So yeah, keep the scripts simple. So keep it simple. Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Yeah, and one more actually very, I would say very important thing. When we actually starting our project, we're creating those scripts, and we're preparing for that big day just to run all these sessions, many sessions. We need to make some dry runs on a smaller portions, I would say, of sessions to indicate if there are, for example, some collisions between the scripts or between the users.
Yeah. What do you mean by collisions? Explain that a little bit.
I mean, some scripts, let's say we're running 100 scripts, for example, and some small part will just pass only due to collisions. So we had an experience on a few projects in the past, which are, so the processes that were running basically in parallel sessions were causing collisions when they were creating the project in D365, So basically it was like the users, many users were clicking at the same time in the new project button, at the same time, and the error in the system occurred for the most of the users. Only few were passing, because there was some collision with logic, but it was in the dynamics, so the ID couldn't be created like unique ID, and thanks to that we found it like on early stage, actually,
it's like the first day.
Yes, actually, when we just started this and did some small dry runs, the development team on the actually client side, they checked in the dynamics what is wrong, and they changed the logic actually of creating that project. And we were able to carry on, like pretty much fast, because it was obviously a high priority issue.
Most of them are, right?
Yeah.
So anything else to add to that? I mean, it sounds like even from the very beginning of a performance testing project, in these very first dry runs, there's some value that you can find sometimes. And then, of course, doing the performance testing, you pretty much have to do it. Microsoft is going to highly encourage it, but it's also good for your own information. So, okay, so we've explained like kind of what collisions can be. What are some of the functionalities specific to executive automats that would be used to conduct a performance test?
I mean, the must use functionality, which the performance testing is based in executive automats, is the scheduler. So depends if the simple or more complicated, because we can create various schedulers. We can create sequential schedulers, parallel schedulers, like simple ones when we're running just whole session, let's say 50 scripts and that's it. Or we can even create some more complicated ones which have dependencies between the scripts. So it needs some more logic, but it's very good feature. So but thanks to that scheduler, we not only can schedule the time where our actually execution will be conducted, but we don't need to create all that. We don't need to multiply the scripts manually, and assign them. We can duplicate them in the scheduler. And obviously, what we can do, we can also override the users in these specific multiplications. So, sorry. So so it's super useful. So, I mean, you're not gonna conduct the performance testing without that.
And so in the scheduler, you can not only multiply how many processes are running, but you can divide those up and group them by virtual users to meet the dynamics requirements. So that 10 maximum per virtual user. Nice. So scheduler's good. What else? So, you've got the scheduler that's necessary.
Another thing is KPIs, I would say, because we have functionality in executive automats where we can point at some step which is important. For example, it will be in purchase order, or somewhere will be posting or something, and we and we actually marking that steps as a KPI. And later on in results, actually, we have more measurements. For example, how many it passed in the scripts, even, and that will give us like another field in the table, totally.
And you can even see like how long a particular process takes under a certain amount of load, and even can drill down and see in the results how long each step takes under a particular load. Yeah, especially if you're running iterations. So you simulate 10 users, simulate 100 users, simulate 300 users. Then you can go back and look at the times even down to each step.
Exactly.
Nice.
The results, the results, and even the reports from each script is quite important, as well, because we can see from this actually times over time when the session is running, we can see if the step execution is changed, or it's longer, or it's quicker, so we can see how it behaves. What else we can add? We can even add some sequence ID, so that will be unique ID for something which we create. When we create some, I don't know, we need some. Sometimes we need some IDs in the like customer PO when we create a purchase order or sales order, and every process that needs to be unique, so we can use it, and this is quite useful. And I believe there is much more things even. Some, like I mentioned previous webinar when we were together, Power BI reports, that can be useful even for performance testing. And I would say that there is much more, but I don't know, like nothing comes to my mind really now.
Every situation, of course, is unique. It depends upon what you're trying to do as a customer, Dynamics 365 users. So whatever it is that you're trying to measure the performance of, whether it's load testing, stress testing, spike testing, like you mentioned, or just in general, hey, when 500 people are doing this, how long does this process take to operate? Or at the end of the year, whenever there's batch processes running for accounting or whatever, how much does that impact our environment? So it's always better to be prepared than to be reactive. So proactive versus reactive, and performance testing helps you out with that. And like you said, for us, we use that generally in conjunction with our performance monitoring tool as well. So Executive Automat's test automation that allows you to scale up and really stress the system, and then a performance monitoring tool that allows you to see exactly what that stress is doing to your system in different areas, and even very specific areas. So
I think if we could dive deeper into that performance monitoring, so it could cover like most of the kinds of the testing in the performance testing. It can help you find all these bottlenecks and everything.
Exactly.
What is bothering your system?
Nobody wants Black Friday to be the day where everything fails. So that's, I think, let me summarize a little bit. So whenever it comes to performance testing, there's different types of it, of course, but the overall idea is that you are putting stress on the system and trying to see what that's doing to your system. You're not testing for flaws in processes. You're actually testing your system's power, so to speak.
So we're not finding really much. We're not focused that much on bugs.
Exactly.
And just how a system reacts, how it works. Under stress.
And so keep the processes simple. Make sure you have your environment set up, the settings, the data, everything is mirroring your production environment as much as possible. Also have the correct tier selected. You're not going to do performance testing. Very, very rare cases will you do performance testing on anything less than a tier 4 environment. Again, we would prefer every time for it to be tier 5, but it's not always.
Well, tier 4 is,
tier 4 is good enough.
I think it's safe.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, it works out quite well. And then when it comes to choosing the tool, of course, we recommend Executive Automats because you can very easily use the scheduler and you can record your test cases very quickly, organize them very well, and then get plenty of results from Executive Automats. And if you want, you can combine that with the performance test monitoring as well. And then I think that's pretty much.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Today,
but maybe we have something else to announce.
Yeah, so always want to talk about just a quick update for everybody because we are a Dynamics implementation partner. And so it's important for everybody to know that starting November 1st, Microsoft is changing the way they're doing their licensing. And so you need to have everything, tip-top shape when it comes to licensing. And you can use user security governance tool module that's going to be in Dynamics coming out very shortly. And we are actually the people who created the base tool for that Microsoft is now going to be using and still provide services around it. So November 1st, keep that in mind, talk to your security administrators and make sure that they're on top of that because everything's going to have to be in, perfect shape by that time. So if you don't have a valid license, you're not getting access. So reach out to us. You can use this QR code that's on the screen here and also visit executiveautomats.com. Reach out to us there or any way that you can find us that you prefer. So that's the one big announcement. So, with that said, I think we'll go ahead and move it over to the Q&A session. I see we have a couple of questions already, but if any of our viewers out there, if you have a question, feel free to drop that into the comments here, and we'll pop it on screen and answer it as best as we can.
All right. Let's wait for the first question.
Yeah, good information, by the way. Good stuff. Okay, we got something from Thomas here.
Thomas, yeah.
Let's see what he's saying. How many sessions will one user be able to handle in EA while doing performance testing? And
I think we mentioned that.
We did. I can answer this one actually. What you're meaning specifically would be probably virtual user. And there's a dynamics limitation where one user can generally only do about 10 actions at the same moment, yeah? And then dynamics starts kind of shutting it down, saying, hey, this is weird. Nobody can really do 10 at one moment, yeah? And so it's not an EA, an Executive Automats limitation, but from Dynamics. And so that's why you were saying one virtual user can simulate, 10 parallel sessions.
I would say yes, up to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider sometimes when we're expecting like very big workloads, just maybe go down a bit to 8.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Yeah, great question, Thomas. Thanks for that. I hope that answers it. If it doesn't, let us know. See if there's
we should
anything
have
else coming
something
in.
else, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, Dorothy. During performance testing, let me put this on the screen here. What are some typical issues or failures that you generally run into? You mentioned a couple of them briefly. The collisions, yeah?
Collisions, but on early stage, we need to make sure, but this is like more our customization issue.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not really, it's not, this is related a bit to performance testing, yeah, but so first of all would be slowdowns, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's slowdowns and crashes, yeah, that the system cannot handle anymore, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it starts from slowing down, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Then even sometimes it can crash. Not only due to performance, but sometimes some misinformation when so many users are typing and things like that. It's sometimes we actually fetching some error, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
due to, hey, like error has been occurred, yeah, the information is wrongly specified or something, yeah.
Yeah.
This is I would say the main issues.
I would say also to add to that, from a more general perspective, what I see is it often will take time to get your security administrator to have the test accounts set up. So for the virtual users, the credentials for the virtual users to log in. So sometimes there's issues with that. So you need to make sure to plan in advance, know how many sessions you're trying to run, know how many test accounts you'll need set up for the virtual users in order to do that. So that's one aspect. And then another thing that I've seen happen quite often is people choosing or customers wanting to test, as you mentioned, much too complex processes. So maybe they're wanting to do like really intense validations or something like that. And we say, keep it simple, yeah?
Yeah. No, that's definitely supposed to be simple.
Yeah, definitely. So, great question, Dorothy. Appreciate that.
But, you know, only sometimes like in a spike testing or something, obviously it depends from the processes, yeah? But some modules can run slower than other ones, yeah? And sometimes, yeah, with performance monitoring can actually find those bottlenecks, yeah? And like indicates you with the finger, hey, you should check that module, yeah? This one is working quite slow, yeah?
You code in there.
Your developers need to look into that.
Yeah, developers love performance testing, right? Yeah, everybody points and says, fix that, please.
Right.
Yeah, good question.
What else? Basically what we expect is that collisions, performance issues, I mean, like slowing down, crashes.
Make sure, again, that all those things are prepared that you said, the data is ready. So that's another thing. With all testing, data is critical. So.
Yeah, also, we need to test the data even in a dry run, right before.
Yeah.
We need to check if it's valid, because sometimes, let's say some consultant or subject matter expert will give you, this data should be valid,
but
you're checking
not in the system.
There are issues, with customers, with items, with things like this. We need to make sure, if we're making like on production or in sales orders, on purchase orders, we need to make sure that our warehouses, like virtual warehouses, are filled in,
And that's one thing that you can also do with executive automats is use executive automats to create the data that's necessary to do the performance test. So kind of like with regression testing, you often will have prerequisite scripts that create the data that's going to be used later on. And so before you're doing your performance testing, you can even use executive automats to create the data that's necessary. So you can create all the purchase orders, all the free text invoices,
because
IDs,
performance testing is not only finishing on one session.
Exactly. Yeah,
it can be conducted like a few days in a row.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I would say for us, a typical project, we probably spend a month on it at least. Yeah. And that's getting the team organized, getting everything. So, I mean, it's not actually doing it once you have everything prepared and ready, then it's, just maybe a couple of days. But in general, getting everything organized and the whole plan mapped out, I'd say it's probably at least 2 weeks, maybe a month for a project like that. Yeah. So.
Well, it depends on the project. You're talking about like pretty much big ones,
Yeah.
I have.
That's all I do, man.
I was thinking about also in smaller ones when we had just conducted through the one day, but it wasn't even like the big amount of sessions as well, But that was what the client needed, So.
Yeah, do what you need to do, and try not to do any more than that. Yeah.
I mean, very important is what we exactly want to test by performance testing. Like which scenarios? What kind of scenarios needs to be under what pressure?
Yeah. Are you trying to find
which variables?
Which processes take the longest, or are you trying to find how much load your system can handle? Two big differences. Two different approaches to handling or answering those questions. So.
To answer what you need, basically, for your business. All right.
So, if there's any other questions, we'll give another minute here and see if any other questions pop up. But if not, we'll just sit here and look pretty into the camera. Easier for him than for me, but.
Okay. I think we can call it a day pretty much.
Yeah, and definitely reach out to us with any questions that you've got. There's the QR code that you've got on the screen that you can scan. Again, executiveautomats.com. Let me drop that in the link here. If I can spell. Yeah, so that's in the comments coming up. Yeah, we really look forward to hearing from anybody about performance testing or any of our previous topics, regression testing, and all types of testing when it comes to automation. We're happy to help and look forward to hearing from everyone. So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, everybody. And Marek and I will sign off. Thanks, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah, cheers.